But anyways, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. We are going to do, we'll do a daily general check-in. And when I say daily, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily just for today. It's timeless whenever you click on it. A daily energy is, you know, it could be something that's starting, something you're in the middle of, something that's kind of going on. You know, don't take everything so literal. If you're watching the video, there's probably something in it for you. Yeah, so I'm going to use my Divine Circus Oracle because life feels like a little bit like a circus these days. And I know, I was going to say, and I know a lot of clowns. I was so shady. What else? We're going to see what the energy is. So what that main, you know, that main force, that main thing, the main, I was going to say main squeeze, but the main idea here, the main flow of energy. What are we working with, Spirit? With our Divine Circus, we have, oh, I don't think I've ever gotten this before. Nice. Oh, two. Okay. So we have, I don't know why I felt like I had to check the bottom too. The good, I think it's Siesta. I didn't know if that's a G, and then it's, why don't you go ahead and read it and sound it out your best, Geisha? Oh my God. I saw it when it was on the computer. Whatever. It's a good Geisha. It's really pretty. I'm almost positive that I have this ring light in probably the worst spot that's like, here, look at my acne. Meh. No. Okay, anyways, the main energy that we're looking out for is the good Geisha. But then on the bottom of the deck, we have the Maven of Masks, which definitely caught my attention. Nails are nasty. Don't judge. You wouldn't be judging, not if you're here. We don't vibe on that. Speaking of vibes, let's see this. The good Geisha. I guess I can hold that up to you. Okay, so here we have, you are clever. You know how to play an impressive game of strategy to win approval and gain allies. Even without always noticing it consciously, you can sense what people want. Sometimes you are so good at showing others what they want to see that you forget how beautiful you are when you are just being you. But your time has come, the time to unveil the one true real you and attract the allies who are not interested in what you can do for them, but who love you for who you really are. That's some kind of beautiful right there. Let's see. You're ready to opt out of the game that most people play unconsciously. It's a game of image and appearance at the expense of the true self. Okay. So it's funny that that's coming up. I've come a long way in life. I haven't always been who I am now. I mean, I always have, but she's coming out more every day. I really, really, really can't, what am I trying to say? I keep myself very isolated from a lot of people because I can't stand when people aren't themselves. And it's not even a judgmental thing because I understand why, you know, why people are the way that they are, why they feel that they can't, you know, say what they want to say, why they have to go with the crowd, or why they have to, I'm getting so many things in my head, sorry guys. So I'll just work through some of this. So I'm getting like images of like, you know, being too focused on the wrong thing. I'll continue to read the card, but I saw like a demented Snow White looking in the mirror. Is that Snow White, who's the fairest of them all? Whoever it is. A princess, like looking in the mirror, right? Yeah, so let's just go on with this. You're ready to opt out of the game most people play consciously. Right, that game, the image, right? That I'm this way. I mean, okay, here's the thing, guys. I can make a YouTube video where I just put on makeup and I'm like, be positive, and fully 1000% believe that, but you also didn't see me crawling on the floor or crawling on the floor. That sounded weird. But you didn't see me, crying on the floor. You didn't see me, alone in my room for days on end. Like I've gone through so many things in my life and come out the other end of it, and all just from the simple act of being positive. Of course, I've sort of, as I've grown, I've learned so many different things about just like my own emotions in general, but the one thing that I absolutely refuse to do in this lifetime is not be myself. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it. I live by the rule, if you said it behind someone's back, say it to their face. And so I am the type of person that if I heard that you said something about me, I will come and confront you for it. And it's not in a violent way. It's in a, if you have something to say it to me. Everyone likes to, have Twitter fingers, and everybody likes to sit around the kitchen table gossiping. But when put to the test, and when you're given the opportunity to, say all these things that you've been, sort of saying to everybody else, and you can't take that chance, shut your mouth. Like, that's what I mean by being fake. It's if you can't stand behind words that are coming out of your mouth, stop talking. If you can't stand behind an opinion that you give, or a piece of gossip, then shut your mouth. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that sounds really harsh. It's kind of the way that it is. Everybody knows, on some conscious or subconscious, like some of it is subconscious. I think that we all sort of alter our, selves. When a camera's out, for example, this might, if the camera wasn't on, I might speak differently. I might, you know what I mean? Let's read this. So many people are used to playing this game that they no longer realize they're doing it. Exactly. See? They don't really know who they are, and they're afraid to really find out. They live behind masks to appeal to others, but slowly starve the authentic self, denying it the opportunity to experience being seen and to receive real love. There's nothing more freeing in life than just being you, and it's a journey. For me personally, I went through a lot in just like the span of my lifetime. And it was really the last few years that really kind of drove that in. And the reason is because no matter what I went through in my life, the one thing that I realized was that no matter how horrible an experience I had, nothing was able to shake me. Like, I know who I am. I know what I want. I know, what I like and don't like. I have an opinion. I'm here to live my life and not anybody else's. And if I make a decision, I stand behind it. And I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, it's just really, it's super sucky to like live your whole life, for example, on the conditions of somebody else. I think it's super shitty to do that to anybody. And again, just learned this in the last few years. It's not something that I was like my whole life, like this is how I treat people. In fact, it was a lot of realizing the way that I treat, or, used to treat people, that was those realizations when it was happening to me, and so even if you can, be real enough, authentic enough in your own self to, admit your faults. The only thing that we can control in life, I say it all the time, is ourselves. And that's super hard for someone like me who, I'm very impatient. I see an outcome. I kind of know what I want, or what, what I think it's going to be. And so I want to go for it. The thing is that not everybody's on that same path. We're all here on our own journeys, and free will is a real thing. So destiny or not, we're all given choices every day to, stay or go or whatever it is, right? Sometimes it's the most minute things that you really don't even pay attention to, that you realize end up kind of changing your life. It doesn't always happen in, that one quick swoop. But any promise of success, love, or wealth that begins with you contouring yourself into something you are not is a false promise. And it's true. It cannot deliver anything worthy to you. That's the thing, right? Like, and this is what I'm trying to say. Like, I stand behind every word that comes out of my mouth. And it's not just sitting on here going, be positive, like, you can do it. Being positive means, sitting with yourself sometimes, being positive sometimes means, you know, diving into places of yourself that you don't want to go. You know, there's a reason that we turn to food and alcohol and drugs and, you know, to quiet ourselves. It's the one thing, you know, we can't escape from, but we try the hardest to. I think that with any kind of emotion, the hardest thing to do is just to feel it, especially those hard ones. And sometimes those are so, they're so conjoined with so many other things that you're really just kind of like digging through to kind of get to the core of what the real issue is. And it's not that all the things around it aren't issues. In fact, they are, so much so that you really have to go through it all. So, you know, why am I feeling this way right now? How am I feeling right now? And I mean, that's scary in itself. You know, when your heart is breaking and you're by yourself and you do anything to not feel that feeling. The thing is that once you do, you're through it, right? The quickest way from point A to point B is a straight line. And so it's like, to live your life and to only be worried about what everyone's going to say, what's going to happen with them, what are their feelings, what are this. Now, I'm not saying that we should all walk around disregarding anyone else's feelings. Absolutely not. But I do think that we should start regarding our feelings a little bit more. And if I'm not intentionally setting out to hurt anybody, then I think the most important thing is moving in a movement of love, for example. And I know that sounds corny to a lot of people. In fact, a lot of the spiritual stuff, it can start out feeling super corny. And I think that's why people get the surface level of it. Like, I'm going to go do yoga and I'm going to get a deck of tarot. And these are things anybody can do, right? But really being true to yourself and authentic means that when no one's looking, that's the real you. What you say behind someone's back when they're not there, what you think about, how you talk to yourself, how you value yourself. Because sometimes, you know, the devaluing of ourselves comes out in so many different ways. Being jealous of somebody else, cursing them. That, first of all, that backfires in such an ugly way. And I mean, I'm no expert on anything. I know to know anything is to know that I know nothing. But for me personally, you should never fuck with someone's free will. You should never intentionally set out to hurt them. Now, we've all had moments of, like, we've all felt that. That's okay. We've all been there. What's not okay is how you respond to it, acting on it. For example, actions do speak louder than words, but I will say words are weapons. So I just feel like words can really make or break somebody. And I think that the ability to explain something, for example, if I can say something in a way that you guys get, that's like, oh my God, that's all I'm going for. You know, it's not to babble on for 20 minutes about something, but I mean, being yourself, at the end of the day, being yourself is incredibly hard. It's one of the hardest things. And I really honestly believe 95% of people in the whole world aren't actually ever themselves. And I think this even at home, which blew my mind, because I'm sorry, I don't want to spend the rest of my life with somebody that I can't literally be just me with, and that they can't be me with. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get pissed off. I mean, can you imagine spending 50, 80, 100 years with somebody and nothing happens? Like, no bumps in the road, nothing. I mean, talk to anybody that's been together for, any significant amount of time, and you're going to go through hurdles, right? But it's how you handle those things and what you take from that. So I decided I was going to do my absolute best to start paying attention to my life, to really start paying attention to it. A few years ago, I made a big, drastic move in my life, and it was something that I never thought I would do. It took everything in me. And then not only, did we make this big move, but it didn't turn out the way, I wanted it to. And sort of from that moment on, it's kind of been like, catching up, getting bullshit people out of the mix. Just 90% of the problems all stem from somebody else's problem with something that has nothing to do with them. And I think that I mean, that's part of being yourself, right? The only thing you can control in a situation is yourself. So how are you reacting to things? You know, are you bringing a positivity to, you know, any environment that you're in? Are you the negative person? I mean, I think that not being fake or being your authentic self really is kind of diving in and figuring out who that is. And I think for most people, I truly feel that for most people, that's the scariest part, right? Because we don't want to come on and say like, you know, I was ghosted, but I was like, it hurt like hell. We have kids, you know, I watch these people, you know, lie in my face. I've been just all kinds of things. You know, I grew up in a very abusive household, and it's like to get through all the BS, and we all have different dynamics, right? And we don't always want to come and just share our BS with everybody. Some people don't mind, and some people do. And dynamics can be anything from, you know, that mom that's always, you know, to the conditions that you have if you don't do this, this, and this, you know, for so many things in life. If at work, if you're not performing up to this quality, you know, you're out. But work and love and people that you keep and choose to keep in your life should always be bringing positivity. And when I say always bringing positivity, I don't mean that everyone's walking around with a rainbow stuck up their ass and they're like, posse vibes. Like, that's not what I mean. But what I mean is, you know, there's always a way to approach a situation. Are we looking for the, you know, bigger picture? Am I giving you advice from my heart? Do I really genuinely stand behind what's coming out of my mouth? I heard a quote, I heard a quote the other day that was something along the lines of, make sure that when you're giving advice, you're giving me advice and not advice on what you would do if you were me, if that makes sense. So if you're getting advice from someone that knows you really well, give me advice. What should I, not what would you do in this situation? Because I'm not asking for what you would do in this situation. I need to know, what do I do in this situation? And sometimes triggers just come up, and that happened to me. I actually thought when I, you know, had gotten to a certain, you know, point in my life, I never really told anybody about my past. That wasn't who I always believed. It didn't matter. Anything that happened, that's not an excuse to be a shitty person. Like, just because bad things happen, if anything, you know what it's like to have those, you know, horrible times. So why would you bring that out into the world? But I don't know. I know I'm kind of like digressing, but anyways, it says, you are not one of those fearful souls, but you know what it is like to have been caged in an invisible prison. Exactly. A way of thinking and being that is not good for you. In times gone by, your soul has been shackled, your voice silenced, your true beauty hidden under more appropriate and acceptable guises, your intentions misunderstood, and your words misconstrued. You've been like a beautiful wild creature, captured as though somehow you could be tamed and changed. Fortunately, your sacred range and divine defiance have rattled the cage of your past, forcing the door to swing open. You can and must continue to set yourself free. Be free from the expectations, opinions, and projections of others. Be free even from the self-image that you convinced yourself you were supposed to be. Be unafraid to discover the depths of your own being coming to life. If you do not, you shall bind yourself to a life far too bland for the color and majesty of your soul. Being what another wants you to be is a false promise of love. And you are destined for love, real, wild, pure, and true. Make sure you start by giving it to yourself. Then you can share it with others and receive it from others too. I love that so much, guys. I'm a hopeless romantic, and I really genuinely believe that, you know, there's the right person out there for everyone. And I think that, you know, some of us have more than one partner out there in our lifespan. Some of us have one. It doesn't matter. And I think that we get so caught up, and this is what I mean by just being authentic. If you're worrying about a label to describe something else to somebody else, like, we put ourselves in these boxes, and what happens when we label them is we can't get out, and we get stuck in it. So for example, this whole twin flame thing, now I'll say it, I have twin flame videos. I love the twin flame journey. I genuinely am a hopeless romantic. I believe in it. What I don't believe is labeling it in such a way that it's stuck in our heads as is. So if I've identified somebody, for example, as my twin flame, because that's your mind state, it's, you know, you're already going into it with a, I'm gonna try. It's the same thing if you were married, right? It's like, I can't just leave, I'm gonna give it a go. That can sometimes be a good thing, and it can sometimes be a bad thing, because when you get that label on and it's not vibing with you, then it doesn't matter what anybody calls it, what any tarot reader says, what any psychic says, what anybody says, because inside, if you're feeling that it's not right, then it's just not right. And maybe it becomes right, because you know what, I genuinely believe anything that's meant to be yours, it's going to find its way back to you. And that sounds crazy, but I think it's because most things that leave you aren't meant to come back to you. And I don't think so. I think that if we're lucky enough, we, you know, appreciate lessons, we try to get the value out of them. Like I said, when I was going through all of my sort of spiritual stuff, I think I've always kind of been somebody to look at all sides of a situation, but to really focus on myself in the situation and not anybody else. So it didn't matter how I had gotten to whatever point that I was, it was just how I was handling it at that point. And that's hard, right? Nobody wants to hear that the asshole doing blah blah blah, or the, you know, biche doing da 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 isn't in control of you, because you're like, I'm here, like, I'm not doing anything in there. But how you're reacting to it is going to make or break a situation. For example, for me, I'm like throwing, you know, dynamite into the room with dynamite, like it's stupid. And I think that even just, you know, reacting in a certain way, I mean, unfortunately, when you are trying to be your authentic self, authentic sometimes looks like, you know, you just crossed the line. And I really, really despise the sort of recoil when it gets to that point. I don't think there's anything wrong with expressing yourself, and I think that most of the time it can be done in sort of a civilized manner. But you know what? Sometimes things aren't civilized, and sometimes you just got to say what it is. And we all think of karma in our own ways. And again, I'm not an expert on anything, but I do believe that, you know, everything happens for a reason. So with that being said, you never know when you're somebody's karma, that your voice, your energy into that situation is actually something that is going to make or break. And now I'm not saying, go ahead and, be a hothead, and trust me, it doesn't get you anywhere. But at the same time, your voice is your voice, and, your voice is, like I said, words are weapons. And if you use them properly and with the right intention, you really don't need to do anything more than that. But anyways, I digress. This is such a long video. I did kind of want to read 44. So if any of my MVPs are still watching this video, I'm just sending so much love your way. So we have, let's see, I'll hold it up for you. We have the Maven of Masks. Who do you want to be? Try that self on for size. Is that not funny? You've got the be your true self. And then what did I say? To be your true self, what do you got to do? Come on, class. You got to find your true self. So who do you want to be? Try that self on for size. You might just discover another genuine facet of you beyond your known identity. The Maven of Masks tells you, act as you wish to be and you shall be. This is true 1,000%. What is the saying with confidence? Like, oh, fake it till you make it, right? So I know I'm just saying, oh, don't be fake, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, there's not a single time that I'm about to go and, do something nerve-wracking where my heart's not pounding, but I'm going to do it anyways, and I'm going to look like I'm not, you know what I mean? But that's you kind of do that until you don't have to sort of force it so much anymore. But I think it's always kind of like that a little bit. Have you ever felt the liberation of feeling like a different person when on holiday, traveling in another part of the world, or stepping into a world where people don't know you? The masks have come off and you get to choose who are you going to be. You might feel unfamiliar ways of being, more assertiveness, more confidence, more vulnerability, more feminine or masculine energy, all rising up from within you. These ways of being might not seem like you, not the you that you have thought yourself to be, but just because they are different, new, unfamiliar, doesn't also make them inauthentic. Quite the opposite. The Maven of Masks card comes to you when it's time to try on another personality for size, to see how much of it ends up being authentically you, just a newly discovered you, but true nonetheless. Have you heard the expression, fake it till you make it? Some people don't like this idea. They feel it is not genuine. It depends how you, that is so weird. It depends how you use the idea to your advantage. I mean, it's not weird, but it is. Yeah, whatever. There are differences between to pretend, and this is what I mean. There's a difference between pretending to be something that you're not and experimenting, exploring. So for example, I am wanting to be more positive. So I don't have, let's say, for example, that I don't have the most upbeat personality. So, hi guy, that's not me. What can I do to be more positive every day? I can start waking up in the morning and no one even has to hear me. I can, in my head, say, I'm really thankful for the day. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm thankful the sun is shining. I'm thankful for my babies. I'm thankful for this house. Whatever it is. If that's corny to you, okay, check that. What else? Do you know what I mean? Like, is writing something, maybe having a pad beside the bed. That sounds so... But, maybe having a notepad beside, wherever you're working and being able to write down something that you're, also thankful for. Okay, if you want to discover new qualities in you, you're going to have to start somewhere. Believe, first of all, that you have undiscovered depths and diversity in you. Guys, you have no idea how much, and I don't care how old you are, I'm telling you right now, I promise you there's a side of yourself that even you don't know. Like, you don't know that it's there, and it's just dying to come out. Second, you have to play. Not play acting, but playing. What is it like to show up for life as if you already have all the courage and sass you long for, or all the creativity and confidence you yearn for? See yourself as that person, as having those qualities. Otherwise, you are like a bird that is yet to fly. It's in you, but you have to have faith first and act as if you do. The bird who has never flown has it in him to fly, but he has to make the leap of faith to realize this for himself. And it's so true. Again, something that I can be kind of with is, everyone's got to get there on their own time. And what's frustrating sometimes is that I can see it, like, you've got it, like, I believe in you, you believe in you, and sometimes it really is just as simple as, I've been in this shitty rut for so long, I don't even know who I am anymore. Once I stop overeating, who am I? Once I'm not smoking all day, who am I? Like, once I'm not drinking, who am I? That's scarier than quitting. That's scarier than anything, because it's the unknown, and anything unknown is scary, but it's the most exhilarating. And so, yeah, sometimes you're going to have to fake it till you make it, but it's not faking it when you're trying to discover different parts of yourself. For example, like 2 years ago, I picked up a paintbrush. Now, I, for a fact, I can't draw a stick man. But I picked up a paintbrush a couple years ago, and I love painting. And I'm not, I'm more of a, what would you say, like an abstract artist? But let's see if I can see that. See that painting up there? I painted that. The ones on the wall, the elephant, the trees. Like, I couldn't draw a stick man. Honestly, and I'm not showing off my grade 3 talent, but I'm saying, I never would have, especially because to me, drawing and painting, it's all kind of, but it's not, and I love it, I started doing tarot about 10, 12, God, maybe even longer now, my first deck, and then I stopped, and then a couple years ago, maybe 4 years ago, totally just picked it up again, and it is the love of my life, okay, I'm 35 years old. I have not been on a stage or, anything of the sort since I was in elementary school, maybe once or twice. And I auditioned for a play. I got a part, and people actually have to, pay to see it. It's awesome. Like, and I love it. And I really genuinely feel like everybody has a self-expression in them. So instead of worrying about the shit that doesn't matter, like, am I as pretty as her? Or do I look good? Or what are they going to think of me? Or who cares? Like, honestly, who cares? In fact, the more you sit there harping on stuff like that, I mean, so in my head again, I'm seeing this like, I'm seeing this very like haggard looking like woman, like looking into the mirror on the wall, who's fairest of them all. But she's got no hair and sunken in, and like, okay, so are you going to be so scared of discovering pieces and parts of yourself that maybe other people won't like? Here's the worst thing, absolute worst thing that's going to happen to you in this lifetime, what in your mind right now would be you being by yourself, right? Everybody you know walking away from you, nobody giving a crap. Guess what? You can do it. Like, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I'm saying our possessions, our money, our clothes, our makeup, our hair, this is not who makes us. Like, at the end of the day, I'm me when when it's just me and the, big sky. I'm me when I walk into a room. Of course I get nervous. I'm not gonna, like, I'm a super private person, for example. So I don't tend to get super close to people. I kind of am very selective like that, but that's for my own reason. And I generally know that, like, if I'm entering into someone's life, I feel like it's always kind of for a reason, and it's temporary. That's a whole other story. Don't even know why I'm getting into it. But yeah, so I would say for this one, you're really just going to have to take a leap of faith. I sense like my heart is pounding, and I sense just being scared, and not really scared of everything, a little bit of everything else. So you might have a lot of people right now that think of you in a certain light, for example. And if it hasn't happened, then it may, where, a side of yourself gets revealed that shows a different side of yourself to everybody. Here's the thing. If you want to move up in life, you have to do the work, first of all. So we can't fake it till we make it in that regard. If you want to grow spiritually, you have to do the work. There is no faking it till you make it. I can't pretend to work through my issues. I can't pretend to be a nice person, because who I am inside, that's me. And the universe and whoever you believe in, God, angels, ancestors, guides, whoever, you're connected. You're all one. So you can't fake, I mean, you can to everybody else, but it won't get you anywhere. You can fake being nice and fake, and it's not even, you might not even be intentionally faking it, but you might. Okay, so here's another scenario. You might feel like you don't need to ABC. That's what just came to mind. I don't need to do this. Like, I got like I don't have to do that. Like, I know. Here's the thing. There are some things that are so deep within us that we can't even admit them to ourselves, or it's been so much our identity, our who we are. A lot of people, unfortunately, it's and I don't want to trigger anybody, but it's it's that victim mentality. It's this happened to me, so that's why I am the way that I am, or they did this, and now I'm gonna da 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 da. While I understand that mentality and have been there before, once you grow up and you hurt at a certain level, you feel at a certain level, you feel ashamed, you make a mistake, you do something. If I'm not learning something from that, what was that for? At the beginning of the video, like I said, a few years ago, I made this big life, change, and I put everything into it because it was something that I wanted, and I'm okay with failing. I'm okay with, falling on my face. I don't care what anyone else thinks of me in that sense, because anybody that is, that's sort of for me or on my side, they're not gonna listen to, you know, gossip about me, for example. And to me, and again, I don't mean to insult anybody, but to me, an intelligent person isn't gonna make a snap judgment on someone that, you know, they've never, and if you are, then that's cool, but you're not my people, right? And so then why would I waste a second on anything like that? I can send out my good intentions, and I do. I have like literally a list of people that literally curse me, like not just like, oh, F her, like I mean actually like get in a circle and like, oh, we want her to be blah, blah, blah. And it's so unfortunate because, you know, while they're doing that, I'm sending love and saying, God, if you could just focus on, just heal, you know, just heal. Because you are beautiful. You don't need to compare yourself, because you don't have to lie to everybody to get attention, because you don't have to be a certain way to be loved, because who you are, the real you, the asshole, the bitch, the one that made mistakes, we all make mistakes, you know. Every mistake that I've made in my life has made me who I am today. And as I continue to, you know, review and continue to watch my actions, and, you know, it gets to a point where I don't have to watch them anymore, because it's just becoming, you know, who I am, and it's in a completely just authentic, peaceful way, like just being at peace. You know, I used to not be able to sit in a room by myself, the dark, you know, silence, it's a killer, you know. But to anybody watching this, and I genuinely don't care who you are, if you're watching this, like, I send you love and support. I think that you're about to possibly decide to take a leap of faith, and there might be a lot of people around you who don't understand when that mask comes off, and that's where you need to be strong. You're not mistakes that you made. You are not a shitty person. It is okay for people to decide or take or need their own space. Not everyone's gonna like you, and for me that sucks, because like I would love them to, but it just doesn't work that way. If I could kumbaya, like I honestly, like I would love it. That's just, I hate arguing and fighting, and I think once you get your feelings out, it's what's the point? Like, are you still mad? I'm not mad. Are we still doing this? So I encourage you to let go of all of that crap. The kids are home from school. Write down some things that you want to try, that you have interest in, that you've never done before. But anyways, kids are home from school. I just want to say thanks for joining. I'm sorry if I babbled on. Like, share, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Namaste, guys.